The battered Japanese centerfish slowly turned back and was apparently seen away. We took photographs of the whole northern force. Beyond the Japanese navy, there was no alarm The result was that we cut their supply lines to the unmarine sea.
Guided missile cruisers for close-in defense of the battle group against air, surface, and
操縦室艦長が座ってさ、
勢いがあったのかもしれないですね。
もしかしたら出ちゃうもんね。
Mixed groups of planes will be heading toward the enemy coast from 6 directions. The group boss, 100 B-24 Liberator 4 engine bomber. The white boss, 300.
Really expensive and dining are for effort. 1660 WQEW, Rhode Island, the home of American Country to Standard Theater. Every fucking way.
Now hear this, now hear this. Tours for the USS Growler are guided tours only. Tours leave the tents approximately every 10 minutes. 13 people per tour. You must be able to pass through the test hatch in the tent unassisted. This especially applies to children. For children 6 and under, please check with the tour guide in the tent. Be aware that there is no smoking, eating, nor chewing gum permitted in the tent or on the submarine. Also be advised that video cameras are not permitted to be used while on board the submarine. Once you have received your boarding pass, please do not leave the line. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy your tour.
Tours leave the tent approximately every 10 minutes, 13 people per tour. You must be able to pass through the test hatch in the tent unassisted. This applies especially to children. For children under the age of 6, please check with the tour guide in the tent before waiting in line too long. Please be advised that there is no smoking, eating, or chewing gum permitted in the tent or on the submarine. Also be advised that video cameras are not permitted.
No eating, no drinking, no chewing gum, no video cameras, no little bratty kids. Are you a bratty kid?
No.
I'll tell you what it's
Just carry a little bratty kid?
Yeah.
Yes?
No.
1560 WQEW.
Little bratty kid? Get ready to go.
We made it now.
What? 25 centavos. Bate uma.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, welcome aboard.
Step all the way down, take your first veil, please don't skip it. Welcome aboard. Please step all the way down. Please don't skip it. Welcome aboard. Step all the way down. Please don't skip it. Welcome aboard. Please step all the way down. Please don't skip it.
It smells weird.
My name is Raphael. I'll be your tour guide while you're aboard. I have to go over some safety rules before we start the tour. There are 5 watertight doors below deck, similar to the one you went through in the tent, except that these are made of solid steel. So please watch your heads, elbows, and knees as you go through them. Please do not touch any buttons, switches, or knobs below decks. Some of Growler's systems are still active, and if tampered with, will set off an alarm, in which case we'd have to cut the tour short and leave the submarine. Once we go below, please stay together with the group. You're welcome to take photographs while on board. The only restriction is that video cameras and camcorders are not permitted to be used. I'm now going to play a short introductory video describing Growler's history and what she did for the Navy, and I'll be back to take you on your tour.
This thing could go on the water. So by accident.
Welcome aboard Guided Missile Submarine Growler. I am a retired Navy Master Chief Quartermaster by the name of Tom Stebbins. It was my privilege to have served on board this submarine as chief of the boat and also the senior enlisted man on board. Back in 1958, the U.S. Navy asked for volunteers to serve aboard two unique submarines. These two subs were the first to be completed to carry guided missiles and torpedoes. It was really special for those of us who reported aboard Growler and her sister ship Grayback. At that time, these subs were the most unique vessels in the Navy. They ushered in a new era of strategic nuclear deterrent. You are standing in one of the two missile hangars which were built into Growler, thereby enabling her to carry the Regulus missile. The Regulus was the forerunner of today's cruise missiles. Back in 1958, they were very large and looked more like airplanes than the missiles of today's Navy. While Growler had to surface to fire the Regulus, modern Tomahawk and Harpoon missiles can be fired from nuclear-powered submarines while submerged. In 1964, Growler's strategic deterrent missions were replaced by the advanced Polaris missile submarine. It carried 16 ballistic missiles, which could also be fired underwater. Today, the even more advanced Trident missile submarine performs the same strategic deterrent patrols first undertaken by Growler back in 1960. This submarine is on exhibit here today because she was extremely important to the defense of our nation. Whether you are for or against the concept of nuclear deterrent, Growler is historically significant and as such should be seen by all for a better understanding of the price we pay to guarantee our liberty. At this very moment, there are hundreds of men in nuclear-powered submarines on deterrent missions far beneath the surface of the oceans. Ready to react in the event of war, they help to guarantee the peace. This exhibit is dedicated to the men who sail in these submarines.
No video camera. Photographs are fine, video is not. Step up against both sides of the compartment. There's room over here. Step down. Step all the way down, please. We're now in Growler's forward torpedo room. At the bow or front of the submarine, you can see 2 torpedo tubes. The one on the starboard or right side is open, the one on the port or left side is closed, and there are 2 more beneath the ones that you can see. All 4 tubes were kept loaded at all times while Growler was on patrol. Beneath the deck, lit up in red, is one of 5 torpedo storage skids for the lower tubes. There were also 2 torpedoes stored on deck in the upper tubes, for a total of 11 torpedoes in this compartment. The torpedo crew, 12 enlisted men, lived here. 6 of their racks, that's how the Navy refers to beds, are lit up in green on the starboard side. 3 of the port side racks were removed to put in the ladder we just came down. The other 3 are folded up at the forward end of the compartment. The aft end of the compartment are the torpedo men's shower and head being the maritime or seagoing word for a toilet. Please follow me, watch your steps, and leave the compartment. Feel free to spread out in here, but the only time I'll ever say that while we're on board. We're now in Growler's navigational systems compartment. Growler had a system in here called the Ship's Inertial Navigation System, or SINS. This allowed Growler to pinpoint her location anywhere in the world, even while she was underwater. This was necessary for her to target and fire her cruise missiles on short notice. Growler and her sister ship, the USS Grayback, were the first submarines equipped with SINS, but later versions are still in use by the Navy aboard today's subs. For that reason, when Growler was retired in 1964, the Navy removed her SINS equipment to install aboard another active submarine. Although we've put in some equipment for display purposes, the compartment is much roomier now than it was while Growler was in use. Keep in mind that right now this is actually one of the roomiest compartments on board. Also of interest at the forward end of the compartment. On the starboard side are the lockers where the detonators were kept for the nuclear warheads, and on the port side is the number 2 or backup radio room. Please follow me, watch your elbows, and watch your heads. Have a look, then step all the way into the port side, please. A series of tapes I'll use from time to time to describe some of Growler's compartments.
We are now in the brain of Growler's strategic deterrent system, the Missile Checkout and Guidance Center. 30 years ago, this space was top secret. The handful of men who worked here controlled more firepower than the total of all the bombs which were dropped throughout the Second World War. Because of arms treaties, this nuclear missile guidance center will probably be the only submarine launch system that you will ever be allowed to see. That is because Growler is the only strategic missile submarine permitted to be on display, open to the public. The men who worked these panels were among the best trained people in the Navy. Seated in front of these consoles, they controlled all the stages of missile preparation and launch. This is the place where that fatal button would have been pushed if America had found itself under nuclear attack. With that very sobering thought, will you now follow your guide into officers' country, and let's look at how sailors lived aboard submarines.
Please watch your heads, elbows, and knees as you go through the watertight door.
I don't think so, Dad. I don't think so. I hope. No, you couldn't run either.
When is school start, Monday?
Not comfortable, I can tell you that from experience.
Only show.
We're now in officers' country, which is the traditional nickname for officers' quarters on U.S. naval vessels. They're considerably more comfortable than the enlisted men's quarters we'll see later in the tour. 8 officers lived in the 3 staterooms on the port side of the corridor. Over on the starboard side of the pantry where the officers can get light meals, snacks, and drinks. There's no oven in there. It's not a full kitchen. The ward room, which served as the conference room, dining room, and lounge, and the captain's cabin over here, the only private cabin aboard. As you pass the captain's cabin, you're probably going to wonder where the captain slept. His rack is there, folded into the side of the compartment. The table with the coffee mug and birthday card on it that you'll see is actually part of the bed frame. Behind me are the Chief Petty Officer's quarters. The CPOs were the highest ranked enlisted men on board. 11 chiefs share the small compartment. Please follow me, watch your heads, elbows. Squeeze on down as far as y'all can go. Step in this way.
Prime maneuvering battery charge lineup has been made. Checked by an officer. Last ground 175K. Gravity 1265 forward. 5 aft. CBG 695.2. Permission to commence two-engine propulsion charge.
Maneuvering con commencing to propulsion charge.
Okay, we're now in the attack center control room, Tyler's nerve center. We're directly underneath the sail, the tower in the middle of the submarine. On our wing, we passed the ladder leading to the top of the sail. It was a 35-foot climb and was the only hatchway available to the crew while the sub was underway. At the forward end of the compartment, there are 3 seats with wheels in front of them. The 2 smaller wheels closest to the side of the sub controlled the bow and stern planes. These are sets of fins, one at the forward and one at the after ends of the sub. They were used to angle the sub up and down while she was diving and surfacing, to control how deep she was while underwater. The larger wheel that you'll see over there is the helm, the submarine steering wheel. The helmsman's job is to steer the sub on any course the captain ordered. Over on the far port side, you can see a board lit up in red and green. Nicknamed Christmas Tree by sailors during World War II, the ballast control board showed the position of each hatch valve prevented for the sub, with a red circle if they were open and a green bar if they were shut. All the green bars had to be lit before a growler could dive, or else she would have flooded herself. Here in the center of the compartment are 2 periscopes. This one here in the raised position is the attack periscope. It was used to get the range and bearing, that's distance and direction, to an enemy ship so they could fire torpedoes at it. The other periscope is a more powerful general purpose scope used for air and surface search, and it had an infrared lens so they could use it for night operations. Over here on the starboard side is the torpedo arming and firing panel. This row switches and lights control growlers 4 forward and 2 after torpedo tubes. Over here is the master gyro compass. It told the crew what course the sub was on, in other words, which direction she was going. In addition, it controlled a network of small repeater gyro compasses all over the sub. There's one right over the helmsman's chair, another one next to the torpedo panel. This is so the crew didn't always have to walk over to the master compass to see what direction the sub was going. As we leave the compartment, we're going to pass the sonar room on the starboard side. Sonar is the pinging sound you'll hear in the background. It's used to track other ships and subs. We'll also pass the main radio room on the port side. Please follow me, watch your heads, elbows, and knees as you go through the door. Everyone step off the port side, have a seat. Everyone step in and have a seat.
Thanks.
There's seats all in the middle of the compartment. Everyone had a seat. You don't have to squeeze in so much.
Okay.
You move all the way in, please.
Go ahead.
room, which in the Navy is referred to as the crew's mess. Now, Growler was originally designed to accommodate 88 men. 9 officers, including the captain, ate up forward. The 11 chiefs shared that table, and there were 68 enlisted men. On top of that, Growler also carried extra men who were not part of the regular crew. They were probably from the CIA and were involved somehow with the cruise missions. Nobody knows much about these men, but with them on board, the crew totaled 105 men. Now this area here could only seat 20 to 25. The rest of the men were either asleep or on duty, depending on their schedules. Meals were served 24 hours a day so that all 3 watches could get them in. The galley, or kitchen as it's known in civilian life, is smaller than that of most homes, but 3 cooks and their assistants served all of the meals for the officers and crew. 315 meals and 105 mid-rations every day. Mid-ration is what the rest of the world calls a midnight snack. Also, the cook and his assistant who were on duty each shift served as waiters because there was no room for a cafeteria line. Beneath the deck are the refrigerator, freezer, and dry storeroom through the gray hatch in the deck. Now these spaces only held 1/3 of the food needed for one of Growler's 2.5 to 3 month long patrols. The rest of the food was stored wherever they could find room. Crates were stacked on deck and walked on by the sailors. All of the hatchways except the one in the control room were filled with whatever dry or canned foods would fit, and the showers were filled with 100-pound bags of potatoes. Growler's crew could not take a shower until they'd eaten all the potatoes. That took at least a month and a half, sometimes longer. It gets worse. Now, submarine in this era, a submariner would only get 1 minute worth of running water every 2 weeks once the showers became available. But subs like this often didn't have enough fresh water to allow them to shower at all. As a result, Growler's crew did sometimes go the full 3 months of a patrol without ever showering. Now you know why it smells the way it does down here. Because of the uncomfortable living conditions, submariners do get the best food in the Navy. What you see in the galley is fairly typical. Turkey, steak, fresh baked pies and breads and cakes, and of course ice cream. Every U.S. Navy submarine since the middle of the Second World War has had an ice cream machine on board. Tom Carvel, the man who founded Carvel Ice Cream, got his start making compact ice cream makers to fit aboard Navy subs. We do have one hidden in the back, but unfortunately it doesn't work anymore. This is also where the crew entertained themselves. They had a library, a jukebox, a stereo. Kids, this is what a stereo looked like in 1958. There was a movie projector mounted over where the TV now is. There was no TV on board. The Growler did get her movies before the movie theaters did. You can see the game boards on the tables. Playing cards and game pieces were available in lockers scattered about the compartment. There's a Coca-Cola machine where the exit sign now is. You can see the Navy-sized coffee machine over here. That's the real feel of the U.S. Navy. By the way, every submarine in service nowadays is either a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo in the cruise mess. Please follow me, watch your steps, heads, elbows, and knees. We're passing through the cruise quarters on our way to the entry room.
What? I already assumed what's a weird smell again?
That's fuel oil. Diesel fuel. Step in as far as it can go. Everybody else come around this way. Everybody else can walk straight towards me and come out.
We are now standing in the engine room, or at least the upper portion of it. The 3 large diesel generator sets are visible from here. They produce the electricity that powers the sub's 2 electric motors. Located further aft and below us, the motors are not visible from here. It was the 2 electric motors which turned the 2 propellers, thereby moving the sub through the water. The 3 diesel generator sets also provided the electricity needed to recharge the batteries located under the crew's and officers' quarters. Because the diesels needed fresh air and someplace to exhaust their fumes, they could be used only on the surface until the snorkel was perfected during World War II. This system allowed the sub to run just under the surface, with only the snorkel protruding above the water, as fresh air was taken in and exhaust was vented out. This breathing pipe is located on the after end of Growler's large sail. Your guide will point out the snorkel once you are topside. Will you now please follow your guide to the last stop? Thank you.
We're going to move through the control booth for these engines and the snorkel, followed by the maneuvering room with the crew operator of the electric motors. Please watch your steps, heads, elbows, and knees. You can step up in here if you want.
There were two torpedo compartments, one in the front, one in the back?
Yeah, this is the last sub that had torpedoes at both ends.
You are now standing in one of the largest open stages aboard Growler. It was created when the submarine was converted into an exhibit because of the need to install a large exit staircase. This area used to be the aft auxiliary machinery space. It contained air conditioning and hydraulic equipment, as well as the torpedo loading hatch, which had to be removed to fit the stairs. Originally, there was a bulkhead that separated this compartment from the aft torpedo room. Except for its smaller size, it is basically the same as the forward torpedo room. Only 9 enlisted men lived here. The torpedo tubes are also smaller than those forward, and are capable of firing only the wire-guided electric torpedoes. The wire enabled the electric torpedoes to be directed to their target from Growler. I'm now going to turn you back to your guide, who will take you up to the weather deck and point out the snorkel apparatus on the sail. On behalf of the Intrepid Museum, I would like to thank you for coming, and I hope that you have enjoyed this unique experience. Please watch your step as you climb the stairs.
Any questions before we head up topside? The racks are 6 foot 1 foot long, actually. Yeah, they're just not very wide and there's not much space between them. In fact, I slept in chief's quarters a few weekends back because I stayed overnight for a party doing security work. And I couldn't turn over in them. I kept banging my head. I woke up with the worst headache I've ever experienced. Yeah.
Like a size requirement?
No, actually there wasn't, believe it or not. Submariners could be as tall as Navy allowed, which is 6'11 and a half. The reason is because getting people who have the technical skills, the intelligence, and the psychological profile is hard enough. If they put in the height restrictions, they never have enough sailors.
Especially about 6'11 and a half.
It's happened. They get underway hard hats, retired combat helmets painted red so they don't bang their heads or don't hurt them if they do bang their heads. Alright, please watch your steps. Climb the ladder and go down the gangway. Everyone have a very nice day.
Thank you, thank you.
Last round, 175 kids,
Let me see a copy.